represent academic milestone, a moment of reflection on 3 decades of my scholarly inquiry into one of the most complex, productive, and vulnerable systems on Earth, the forest ecosystem. My journey into botany. I was one of the very good students in history in my secondary school. I initially wrote JAM to study archaeology the very year it was scrapped from the courses being offered at OBAFEMI AWLOWO University. I later considered material and metallurgical engineering before finally changed to medicine at the point of submission of my JAM form, as a compromise with my late father of the blessed memory, who desired that I study medicine. I was eventually admitted to study botany and graduated in 1984. I started my academic career in 1995 as an assistant lecturer at Federal Polytechnic and was later got employed as a graduate assistant in the Department of Botany of OBAFEMI AWLOWO University, Ilefe, in 1996. I specialized in plant ecology, got attracted to this area because of its practical relevance and intellectual satisfaction, despite its demanding and time-intensive nature. I had my master's degree from OBAFEMI AWLOWO University and PhD from the University of Witwatersrand in Johannesburg. It took me 9 years to complete my PhD, having abandoned the first attempt at OBAFEMI AWLOWO University in 2005. After already completing the data collection in 2003, this is a long story reserved for another day. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, there is a need to explain and highlight the importance of forest ecosystem. A forest ecosystem is a dynamic and complex ecological unit in which plants, animals, microorganisms, and other physical environments interact through energy flow and nutrient cycling to maintain ecological structure, biodiversity, and ecosystem function. Forest ecosystems vary in scale from small patches to vast biomes and are dominated by trees that team the delicate balance between forest resilience and human prayer. Exploration has been a powerful blessing, transforming forests from unknown wilderness into scientifically understood ecosystem. Yet, it also carried a darker legacy. This lecture, therefore, is not an indictment of human presence in forests, nor is it a romantic defense of untouched wilderness. Rather, it's an invitation to critically examine the nature, scale, and intent of human exploration. It challenges us to ask whether our interaction with forest ecosystems are guided by ecological understanding, ethical responsibility, and sustainability, or by short-term gains and ecological neglect. The future of forest ecosystem will not be determined by whether humans explore them, but by how we do so. The responsibility before us as scientists, educators, policymakers, administrators, and citizens is to ensure that exploration becomes a pathway to stewardship rather than destruction. I therefore invite you all to actively journey with me as we seek to answer the central question of this inaugural lecture: my research and contribution to knowledge. My studies reflect an empirical and realistic approach to knowledge production that demonstrates that locally generated data from tropical environments are essential for testing and expanding global economic theories. Forest structure and species population dynamics. Understanding the architecture and dynamics of forest ecosystem is fundamental to ecology, conservation, and sustainable management. In my early research in 1997, we looked at the impact of fire incident that occurred in early 1983. The fire ravaged the secondary rainforest within the biological gardens of OBAFEMI AWLOWO University, Ilefe, in Nigeria. It is important to understand the dynamics of forests undergoing natural regeneration after disturbance by fire. Consequently, we investigated stand dynamics in the secondary rainforest using same plot area 14 years after the Grand Fire. Our results showed that the stem density decreased significantly from 3,192 stems per hectare in 1984, a year after that fire, representing 40 different species, 37 genera, 22 family, to 2,456 stems per hectare in 1997, 14 years after the fire. Representing 67 species, 53 genera, and 23 families are shown in Table 1. The density of Untuma elastica, Malleus glasgowi, the most abundant species in 1983 and 1984 respectively decreased in 1997, while Aconial aciflora and Nubodia leaves increased to become the dominant plants. Closely tied to structure, we investigated species richness, diversity, and composition patterns, as well as how environmental gradients, disturbance, and succession shape the spatial distribution of tree species. Results show that disturbances alter population trajectories and can lead to shifts in species dominance, as shown in Table 2. Extending this research to population ecology, we analyzed recruitment, growth, and mortality rates across different size classes and species, and results shown in Table 3. The findings revealed a species-specific demographic pattern provided predictive models of long-term forest composition, changes and empirical evidence of recovery pathways, and long-term consequences of human activity. Odigwe and Moalu, 2001. My contributions highlight the interconnectedness of forest species, population dynamics, and ecosystem function. This framework underscored the importance of integrating field measurements, population models, and ecological theory to understand and manage tropical forests sustainably, as depicted in Figure 1. Nutrient pathways input in secondary lowland rainforest. In forest ecosystem, nutrients enter and move through forest stands, primarily by litter fall, stem flow, and true fall. Together, this pathway connect atmospheric input, canopy processes, and soil nutrient pools that play major roles in nutrient cycling, soil fertility, and forest productivity. We carried out a research in the same forest to investigate annual litter fall dynamics 14 years after the Grand Fire. Study plots were compared in a blunt and unblunt area. The decomposition rate for different litter fractions and temporary change was also assessed by comparing litter for 7 years and 14 years after the fire. Results showed that annual litter fall with the fraction was higher in the burnt area 14 years after, with a value of 12.5 tons per hectare per year. Leaf litter had 8.2, wood 2.8, reproductive 0.9, miscellaneous 0.6. Shown in Table 4, Moalu et al. 1993, Odigwe and Moalu 2003. The total amount of litter production 7 years after fire was 4.6 tons per hectare per year and was significantly lower than 12.4 tons per hectare that was recorded 14 years after the fire. This shows a strong recovery in litter fall production over time after the fire. The annual litter standing crop was 8.3 and 9.4 for 7 and 14 years after fire, respectively. This revealed that a substantial amount of litter did not decompose immediately, but remained on the ground year to year. This indicates that reproductive litter decomposes quickly and wood decomposes slowly. The implication of this finding is that litter fall production in a disturbed area was higher than what was obtained in an undisturbed forest. This suggests that fire openness canopy, promote regrowth, or changes species composition in a way that increases litter production. There is potential for accumulation of woody materials on the forest floor, particularly if litter input is high, because the composition of litter is slow. The increased litter fall from disturbed area contributes to returning organic material and nutrient to the soil, thereby helping ecosystem recovery. The increasing litter production over time from 7 to 14 years showed that forest recovery functionally, at least in terms of litter production and nutrient return. I also work in collaboration with other researchers on nutrient cycling in the secondary forest and bamboo stands ecosystem to find out how litter move nutrients through tropical ecosystem. Boris Ade and Odigwe 2021, Boris Ade et al. 2023, Odigwe et al. 2019. This was done through repeated field measurements of litter fall using litter traps method and standing crop litter sampling in order to quantify annual litter production and seasonal pattern. Estimation of litter moved to the floor and the role of litter in nutrient cycling through chemical analysis of the nutrients was also documented. The results show that in bamboos vulgaris, In a secondary rainforest, the annual litter production was 13.35 tons per hectare per year, with leaf litter contributing 73.9 and twig 26.1%, as shown in Table 5. Seasonal monthly dynamics of litter fall show the bimodal pattern, a major peak in dry season from November to January, and a secondary peak in rainy season from March to May, as shown in Figure 2. The amount of standing crop litter present on the forest floor also show seasonal variation. Leaf litter had higher concentration of nutrients, while twig litter contained more of calcium, magnesium, iron, and nitrogen. The total nitrogen and available phosphorus were higher in baboon plots, whereas exchangeable cations, pH, and organic carbon were lower relative to non-bamboo forests. This suggests that bamboo plays a role in nutrient conservation and cycling, particularly for calcium, nitrogen, and phosphorus. Boris Shade and Odigwe, 2018. We also worked on litter for production nutrients, input and decomposition rate in cocoa and cola plantation. The total annual litter fall of 4.73 tons per hectare per year was found in cocoa, and 7.3 was recorded in cola plantation. While litter standing crop was of 7.22 and 5.74 were found in cocoa and cola plantation, respectively. This total includes leaf wood, reproductive parts, and fine litter. In cocoa plantation, leaf litter was the dominant component, followed by wood and reproductive parts, whereas in cola plantation, leaf litter likewise dominated. But reproductive parts and woody parts contributed relatively more than what was obtained in cocoa. The decomposition rate differed by species. Cola leaf litter decomposed significantly faster compared with Yoruba cacao leaf rate. The implication for nutrient cycling is that higher quantity of macro and micronutrients were deposited under cola than what was obtained under cocoa plantation, as shown in Table 8. Litter decomposition rates under cocoa imply litter accumulation, which slows nutrient cycling and affects nutrient availability. Moalu et al. 2010, Moalu and Odigwe 2011. This work highlights how litter accumulation can lead to nutrient buildup and influence soil negatively in plantation, especially if the decomposition is low. Generally, my studies on quantification of litter production and litter nutrients in tropical African bamboo stands fills a knowledge gap. Many litter cycling studies are from temperate zones, so our work is the first, and it provides important baseline data for Nigerian and West African systems. We showed how bamboo conserves certain nutrients, especially nitrogen and phosphorus, and provide information on forest restoration, bamboo exploitation, or sustainable harvesting strategies. Our data are widely cited in local and regional studies on carbon and nutrient budgets, restoration after disturbance, and sustainable plantation management, biomass and carbon stock in secondary lowland rainforests and plantations. Quantifying carbon stock and biomass in secondary forests is essential for understanding their role in climate change mitigation and global carbon cycle. Secondary forests can sequester carbon rapidly during early growth, making them important carbon sink. These data are crucial for forest management, restoration planning, and reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation, plus the sustainable management of forests and conservation and enhancement of forest carbon stocks programs as they guide policy that enhance carbon storage and promote sustainable land use. Based on the above reasons, I have worked extensively with other researchers on carbon stock and tree biomass in Nigerian forest ecosystem. My research in this area has significantly advanced understanding of carbon dynamics, forest ecology, and climate change mitigation in tropical forests, particularly in secondary forests and restored vegetation. Arubasa and Odigwe 2016-2019, Boris Ade and Odigwe 2018, Boris Ade Eto 2018, Dada Eto 2024 and 2025. In one of these studies, we estimated above and below ground bounds and carbon stock of 5 tree species in a secondary forest at OBAFEMI AWLOWO University, as shown in table. The results are shown in table 9 and table 10. This work delivers species-specific carbon estimates that reveal significant variation among species and highlight the importance of individual taxa in carbon storage and sequestration in tropical ecosystems. Such species-level data are essential for improving carbon budgeting and modeling at local and regional scales, all the way at 2017. I was equally informed in a collaborative work on carbon stock across forest physiognomy, where we showed how different vegetation types, such as secondary forest and plantation, Tithonia grandis, and riparian vegetation vary in carbon sequestration potentials. We found that Tithonia grandis plantation store more carbon in standing trees than secondary forests, and riparian vegetation above ground carbon stocks in trees range from 218.24 to 318.92 tons carbon per hectare, with the highest value in Tithonia grandis plantation as shown in figure 3, thereby indicating that managed plantations can be effective carbon sink under certain conditions. Trees in guard diameter classes, e.g. 11 to 20, contributed significantly to carbon stock in both the secondary and the thick plantation, while larger trees greater than 60 centimeters in DBH dominated carbon storage in riparian forests as shown in figure 4. These results suggest that vegetation structure and tree density influence how carbon forests store above ground biomass. We equally found that soil contained the largest portion of carbon, contributing well over 75% of total carbon stock in different ecosystem pools that we studied, while litter and smaller vegetation constitute the remainder. This finding deepened the knowledge of how land use and vegetation structure affect carbon storage, offering insight for forest management and reforestation studies aimed at improving carbon stocks. We carried out research on how human disturbance or exploration influence carbon dynamics by examining carbon stock, biomass, and carbon dioxide emissions in disturbed and undisturbed forests in Ekiti Forest Reserve, located in Ekiti State. Pictures of disturbed and undisturbed soils are shown in figure 5. Our results reveal that disturbances reduce tree biomass and carbon stock, and not as shrub biomass and carbon dynamics. Undisturbed ones have higher total biomass, total carbon stock, and total carbon dioxide emissions compared to undisturbed area. The result, however, revealed that total biomass, total carbon stock, and total carbon dioxide emissions, values of shrubs, species in disturbed plots, were higher than what was obtained in undisturbed plots. This indicates that forest integrity enhances carbon sequestration potential, while disturbances reduces forest carbon reserves and not emissions profile, Dada et al. 2024 and 2025. The findings from these studies emphasize how land use influences ecosystem carbon cycles, which is crucial to climate change mitigation and sustainable forest conservation. By providing site-specific empirical data on how disturbance regimes influence carbon cycle in the West African reserve forest, especially in Nigeria, this work fills a major knowledge gap in regional carbon accounting. It also underscores the importance of conserving forest structure in order to maintain carbon stocks and regulate greenhouse gas emissions. Therefore, my studies provide critical empirical data for Nigeria and West African tropical ecosystems, thereby strengthening the geographic breadth of carbon science and improving representation in global carbon accounting and climate models. Forest and plant cycling. In the particular study, we worked on a 10-year-old thick plantation and documented that above ground carbon and soil carbon stocks were substantially greater in plantation than what was obtained in degraded secondary forest, thereby indicating the value of reforestation in restoring ecosystem carbon pools. These findings contribute to knowledge on how tree species selection and plantation management influences carbon sequestration potentials and provide empirical data that can inform forest restoration strategies, carbon budgeting, and sustainable land use planning in tropical regions like southwestern Nigeria. Odigwe, et al. 2018, Olatunde, et al. 2013. This work shows that Etona grandis plantation exhibit higher above-ground carbon stocks compared to adjacent secondary forests, thereby highlighting their potential to serve as effective carbon sinks for climate change mitigation. Our studies on Kola Nitida and Triboma cacao highlighted the interplay between crop productivity, nutrient fluxes, and availability and ecosystem services, with documented how litter inputs and soil fertility affect cocoa and kola tree growth, supporting both economic returns and ecological sustainability. These studies provided valuable insight into litter dynamics, nutrient cycling, and carbon processes in tropical agroforestry system. We equally documented annual litter fall a month and decomposition patterns, and demonstrated how these factors contribute to transfer of nutrients and organic matter back into the soil. Moalu et al. 2010, Moalu and Odigwe 2011. This information is very crucial for developing sustainable plantation management practices that support productivity, long-term soil health, and opportunity for the measurement of litter fall, nutrient cycling, and soil fertility under crop canopies. Riparian vegetation studies. Riparian vegetation, which simply means the strips of vegetation adjacent to stream, lakes, rivers, and wetlands, are very critical ecological systems that provide a suite of ecosystem functions, including water regulation, nutrient cycling, flood attenuation, soil disturbance, biodiversity support, and habitat corridor. My research in collaboration with other researchers, Boris Ade and Odigwe 2021, Boris Ade et al. 2021, 2023, and 2025, on riparian vegetation, emphasize species composition, structural diversity, and ecological function. The importance of native species, litter inputs, and nutrient retention in maintaining riparian ecosystems services was equally documented. These studies on riparian vegetation dynamics are significantly enriched understanding of how forest structure, disturbance regimes, and environmental factors such as flood influence riparian ecosystem in southwestern Nigeria. Our findings also showed a decline in riparian forest extent and quality due to land use change, provided empirical evidence of how human impacts on gallery forests, and highlight the urgency of conservation actions to protect these critical ecological corridors. Part of our findings contribute to broader scholarly themes by demonstrating how riparian vegetation serves as an indicator of ecosystem health, influences carbon storage, and responses to flood and disturbance regimes, thereby informing land use planning, restoration strategies, and climate mitigation policy in tropical landscapes. I worked on Pinus patula and Pinus ileata plantation in South Africa. The study focused on the effect of cultural practices and sustainable forest management of late rotation fertilization on soil properties, litter dynamics, and biological processes. Our findings show that supplemental nutrients often did not significantly enhance growth or soil fertility in nutrient-rich sites, which suggest that nutrient limitation may not always be the primary constraint on primary productivity, all the way to 2009. This research also highlighted the importance of litter accumulation and nitrogen mineralization trends in shaping nutrient availability, ecological functioning in aging plant stands, thereby informing management decisions about about fertilization practices and productivity expectation in Pinus patula and Pinus ileata plantations. By integrating field measurement with ecological models, such as physiological processes predicting growth, 3PG, and nitrogen mineralization models, this work contributed to improved predictive understandings of plantation growth dynamics, offering insights for site-specific agricultural practices and sustainable forest management in Southern African forestry context. We were able to provide recommendations for sustainable plantation management, soil conservation, and site productivity for the continuous production of pinus tree species, which are critical for the production of Mondi paper in South Africa. Generally, through my research findings on Theobroma cacao, Cola nitida, Titona grandis, and Pinus species plantation, I've made important contributions to the understanding of ecosystem processes, carbon dynamics, and sustainability of managed forests in Nigeria and South Africa. The interconnectedness of species composition, structural dynamics, nutrient cycling, and ecosystem productivity were emphasized through our findings. Through the evidences I have offered scientific basis for sustainable forest and plantation conservation and management, thereby balancing economic objective with ecological sustainability as summarized in Figure 7. Environmental pollution and environmental studies. Environmental pollution is caused by the introduction of harmful substances such as heavy metals, hydrocarbons, pesticides, persistent organic pollutants, and particulate matter into air, water, and soil through human activities such as industrialization, urbanization, and agriculture. Consequently, biomonitoring has emerged as an important complementary approach involving the use of living organisms or their biological responses to assess environmental quality over time. Plants, mosses, lichen, algae, microinvertebrates, fish, and humans are commonly used as biomonitors because they accumulate pollutants or exhibit measurable physiological, biochemical, or structural changes in response to contamination. The literature consistently aligned biomonitoring as a cost-effective determine the influence of tree height, e.g. barks at 2 meters and 4 meters above ground level on metal concentration. The findings from this study show that some metals, iron, copper, and lead, were significantly higher at the lower height compared with what was obtained at the upper height, thereby suggesting that soil, dust, particles played a role in metal deposition on tree barks. The conclusion was that tree bark could serve as a passive monitor of airborne metal pollution, capturing both particulate bound and possibly gaseous deposition. I also work with some researchers on comparative crude oil remediation potential of Synodon dactylon and Illusin indica. We tested out these common grass species take up and tolerate crude oil contamination in soil, which indirectly involve pollution and remediation. This work is relevant for polluted sites because it shows the local plants that are helpful in remediation or stabilization contaminants. Generally, the findings from this study showed the significance and broader use of lichen and tree bark as established biomonitoring techniques in local Nigerian context for investigating the environment such as mechanic workshop. This is important because many pollution studies in Africa do not always use biological indicators. Therefore, this work helps fill that gap. It should also be noted that this study focused on everyday local pollution sources, e.g. automechanic workshops, not just large industrial sites. These smaller but widespread sources are often understudied and overlooked, but they contribute greatly to urban heavy metal pollution. Our work is therefore useful in risk assessment because it enables better risk profiling, knowing which metals are accumulating in local biota, and can inform environmental health assessment and policy. Through phytoremediation research, we identify plant species that might be useful in rehabilitating oil-contaminated soil. This has both ecological and practical restoration value. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir. Human exploration of forest ecosystem, a blessing or a curse. The debate on whether human exploration and environmental use constitute a blessing or a curse centers on how human activities interact with the ecological system. My research contributes knowledge that helps evaluate both the benefits of human environmental engagement and the ecological risks that accompany it. Human exploration as a blessing, knowledge conservation and management. My ecological studies demonstrate that responsible exploration can generate knowledge necessary for environmental pollution. Research on carbon stock biomass and forest structure in southwestern Nigeria shows how scientific assessment of ecosystems supports sustainable management and climate mitigation. For example, our work on Titona grandis plantation shows that plantation can store significant carbon sometimes more than secondary forests. More than secondary forests in above ground gammas and ecosystem stability. Managed plantation also provide timber, fuel, wood, and economic resources, which can be considered beneficial if properly managed. Human exploration as a cause, disturbance, and ecological degradation. Conversely, my studies also reveal the ecological cause of human activity. Research comparing disturbance on the forest plot indicate that human disturbance can reduce biomass and alter ecosystem structure. The studies on plantation indicate that monoculture plants reduce understory species, particularly shrubs and climbers, compared to natural, really regenerating secondary forests. Heavy metal activities like mechanic workshop on dump sites also lead to pollution accumulation in plant soil and lichen, and this is ecologically damaging. Similarly, investigation into riparian vegetation dynamics in southwestern Nigeria shows that land use change and increasing human pressure threaten sensitive ecosystem by modifying species diversity and ecosystem diversity. Even plantations, while being economically useful, cannot fully replicate the structural complexity and biodiversity of natural forests, indicating partial ecological compromise. The point about human interaction with the forest ecosystem, being that of blessing or curse, is summarized in figure 8 below. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, my academic leadership, mentorship, and community service. My contribution to academic life reflects a holistic approach to scholarship, one that integrates teaching, research, mentorship, services, and social in examination and quality assurance processes within and outside this university. This responsibility reflects a combination to upholding academic standards, institutional development, and effective governance within the university system. While in South Africa, I served as Public Relations Officer of West African Student Union, OSUN. I served as Chairman Postgraduate Residence. I also served as Secretary of the Local Organizing Committee of Boston Conference that was hosted in this university in 2012. I later became Public Relations Officer of the Botanical Society of Nigeria, and I served as a member of the Steering Committee for the Restoration of Ecology Society of Nigeria. I was a member of Faculty of Science football team that won the VC Cup for some years. I have been an active member of my old student association, especially St. David Old Students Association. I am a man of faith with strong dedication to advancing the love of God through the church. My contribution in this regard includes serving as Chairman Harvest Committee, St. Paul Mukuro, Chairman Parish Pastoral Council, Chairman St. Vincent de Paul, Secretary and Vice Chairperson of St. Vincent de Paul at Lageri. I have maintained active participation in the academic community through attendance and presentation at many local international conferences, including performing peer review of scholarly works for Botanical Society of Nigeria, Ecological Society of Nigeria, Ife Journal of Science, Frontiers in Ecology and Evolutions. I'm a member of Botanical Society of Nigeria, Ecological Society of Nigeria, Botanical Society of America. I've equally collaborated with researchers within and outside my institution. In conjunction with other committed comrades, I've championed and sustained the struggle of Academic Staff Union of University in Nigeria. I serve as convener, Welfare Committee, AWLOWO, Vice Chairperson, AWLOWO, and presently Chairperson, AWLOWO. The union has played a major role in the struggle for workers' rights and the improvement of the university system in Nigeria through negotiation, advocacy, and prayer. The union has kept higher education reform and public investment in universities on national agenda. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, some of our ASU comrades have gone to rest and left the struggle to surviving colleagues. The legacy of comrades Festus Iyayi, comrade Kazim Rufai, and comrade Biodun Jefo, the first national president who died recently, and the living legends too numerous to mention, inspire us to seek improvement to the public university system in Nigeria as an expression of solidarity and commitment to the sacrifices and struggle of these colleagues. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, please permit me to recite the last stanza of Solidarity sung by Ralph Chaplin. In our hands is placed a power greater than their ordered gold, greater than the might of armies, magnified 1,000-fold. You can bring to birth a new world from the ashes of the old, for the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, in conclusion, as I conclude this lecture, evidence drawn from 3 decades of ecological research confirm that human exploration of forest ecosystem is neither inherently benevolent nor unavoidably destructive. Rather, it is the manner, intensity, and intent of exploration that determines its ultimate outcome. Based on empirical evidence and ecological principles arising from my contributions in the study of forest ecosystem, I offer the following recommendations on policy implication and forest ecosystem knowledge, restraint, and responsibility. If guided by science and sustainability, human exploration can remain a proven blessing, supporting livelihood, stabilizing climate, and conserving biodiversity. If driven by ignorance and short-term gain, it becomes a cause whose consequences extend far beyond the forest itself. Acknowledgements. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, I give all glory and thanks to God Almighty for His mercy, protection, provision, and continued blessing in my life. I sincerely thank OBAFEMI AWLOWO University and its governing council for their support and opportunity that have contributed significantly to my personal and professional growth. I deeply appreciate my father figure, late Barrister F.C. Modi, whose guidance and support opened opportunity that led to my first appointment as an assistant lecturer at Federal Polytechnic Ede in 1995. May his soul rest in peace. I sincerely appreciate Professor A.O. Isiche, whose leadership as head of the Department of Botany led to my appointment as a graduate assistant in 1996. I'm deeply grateful to Professor Adekunle Adelusi for his fatherly support, the family of Professor Marcus Eleruja for their constant care, and Mr. Mufo Yegunle for invaluable support for my well-being during my stay in Sokoto. May God richly bless and reward you all for sacrificing, support, and contribution to my life. I deeply appreciate the immense contribution of my late MSc supervisor, Professor J.I. Moalu, whose mentorship in plant ecology introduced me to forest ecosystem research. May his soul rest in peace. I sincerely thank my PhD supervisor, Professor Mary Scholes of the University of Witwatersrand in South Africa, for exceptional mentorship, guidance, and invaluable contribution to my professional development. She actually brought me out of wilderness when I got completely lost in the forest. And truly, gave me the edge, VET's slogan. I remain deeply grateful for the opportunity to learn under your supervision. I sincerely appreciate the following colleagues and collaborators. My Dean, Professor A. O. Adeshina, OLOWO Folorunso, other faculty, other departmental and faculty members, your shared ideas have greatly enhanced my research and strengthened my academic work. I sincerely appreciate my loyal friends, the Oshoba, the OLOWO brothers, the Ayindes, Mayo Agunbiade, Tuminu, others too numerous to mention, my university schoolmates, Larry Akimon, who taught me biometry and other undergraduate courses. Charles Oloyede Gboyegamolaja, my secondary schoolmates, Bome Ilori, Bamidele Folorunso, and other too numerous to mention. I sincerely appreciate friends from my alma mater, particularly the 1987 set of St. David Grammar School and 1982 set of SS Vita and Paul, both in Ilefe. Mr. Vice Chancellor, they are all present in this. Oh, some of them are present in this all for their support throughout my journey, especially through challenging times. I sincerely appreciate my comrades and my union leaders for their continuous training and support, particularly in fostering integrity and ability to speak the truth. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, permit me to sincerely thank the union principal officer led by our able comrade president, Christopher Piuna, the zonal coordinators, the branch leader, past branch leaders, comrades Omotoye Olorode, who's present in this hall, Idowa Okpetu, Dipo Fashino, XCILO, and other distinct comrades for their leadership support and contribution. I gratefully acknowledge the chairperson officers and comrades from various zones for their support and solidarity. Please permit me to especially acknowledge the chairperson of Akure Zone, Shola Afolayan, Pius Mogaji, Abayomi Fagwagun, Abraham Oladebe Yetope Ogundari, Olatunbosan Ajisafe, whose support have contributed significantly to my achievements and my stability and the stability of my branch during my tenure. Special thanks to my comrade Alex Odi, my brother from the same town, Gbenga Deleye, Dele Atshiru, and others too numerous that I cannot mention. My comrades from my branch, Sakagwa Damosi, John Etebong, for their unwavering encouragement and solidarity. I appreciate our wonderful ASU OAU Congress. My supportive executive members, another that space will not allow me to mention. I sincerely acknowledge the leadership of the OAU branch of SANU, NAT, and NASU for the cordial relationship we have enjoyed in the last years. I sincerely express my heartfelt appreciation to my in-laws, the Oloyin Yomins, the Oshinagas, the Subans, particularly our mommy, who is present here, Mr. Vice Chancellor. Permit me to recognize her for their love, encouragement, and goodwill through my journey. I sincerely appreciate the organizing committee led by Dr. Tunde Amuson for their dedication and support in ensuring the success of this inaugural lecture. I humbly appreciate my Catholic church members, leaders, and Reverend Fathers, Patrick Ajayi, that we went to the same primary and secondary school, Michael Akesade, David Olani, John Makinde, and Father Stephen Dako Ilesomi, my parish priest, who is physically present in this hall, and others too numerous for me to mention. I salute all my comrades, my people from Ajigbayin, Ayonubo, where I grew up, Obalufon, Akodi Edunde, Kateko, Ilara, Iremo, Latale, London Street, Aderemi, and the various neighborhoods that have contributed to my upbringing. I sincerely thank everyone who contributed to my academic journey and the success of this event, especially my OAU postgraduate class friends of 1996 to 2001, and others not specifically mentioned. This honor is shared with you all. I'm deeply grateful to my late parents, Diokwa, John, Kamweli Kim, and Mama Victoria, Ifiadi and Chukwu Odigwe, whose love, sacrifices shaped my life and continue to inspire us. Though they are no longer with us, but your memory remains a constant source of strength and motivation. I appreciate my siblings who are all present here. Ikechukwu, Ndidi, Ngozi, Chinyem, Chiedu, and Henry. My extended family, the Okomas, the Osadebes, the Edwemes, the Williams, and the Onyezia, for unwavering support and the bond we share. Thank you for always standing by me. I sincerely appreciate my children, Frederick Ifeanyi, Benedict Emeka, Antonia Odigwe. They are all present here for their love and steadfast encouragement, which has contributed greatly to my success. We all share in these achievements. I deeply acknowledge and appreciate my wife, Christiana Ajibola Odigwe. My wife, Christiana Ajibola Odigwe, for her unwavering love, encouragement through my journey. The only one that understands and accepts me for who I am. Thank you for being my partner, my rock, my source of strength, and an indispensable part of my success. My dear, God has been good. Let us tell it to the whole world. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, comrades, guests, and the audience, both physically present and those online, I say thank you, Daluno, Eshegonyo, and Nagode for patiently listening to my story.
Thank you.
Camera.